And therefore, that was the first building in Beit El when I came to there. The yeshiva was already built. And then they started building apartment buildings and so on and so forth. Here it says in verse 28 of chapter 46, Ken, Yaakov Avinu sends Yosef lehorot lefanav. It's not just a tour guide to show us the way how to get there or put up a sign. That is one meaning. How to settle the place is another meaning. But the Midrash and Rashi brings it, litakein lo beit Talmud shemisham totzei hora'ah. A study hall. Yehuda is sent to innovate, to establish, to find a study hall, create a place for values, for Torah study, whatever Torah has given until then. Because the first most important thing when you come to a place, you check, is there Torah here? All of you, I'm going to make a decision in life, where to live, where to settle. One of the most important things has to be, what is the level of Torah here? Can I grow here? Is it a center? Is it important? And therefore he sent, in this midrashic understanding, to create a place of Talmud Torah, the study of Torah. Okay? Vayavo, and then they arrive, Arza Goshen. Wow. We're now reaching a new level of drama. Who's about to meet who? Pasuk Kaftet, verse 29, Vayesor Yosef Merkavto. Yosef is now leaving Capitol Hill, wherever that is, in the kingdom, where his office is, and he ties up his chariot. Excusez-moi. What question are you raising? No, he didn't have a car then. Merkava, that's clear. Why is he doing it? Yosef is number 2 in the country? Does he have assistants?
Yes.
Does he have servants? He has a garage there. There are attendants. They're checking the oil in the water. Yes? So what's he doing tying it up?
Probably chasing his Avram did his...
Right. He wants to do it as quick as possible, as Rashi says. He wants to honor his father. He has so much love. He hasn't seen his father how many years? 22 years. He does it himself. And now he's riding. Right? You should fill in all the noises, right? And now he arrives. Vayal likrat Yisrael Aviv. Goshna. I don't think that in northwestern Africa, this tip of what we call the northwestern tip of Egypt, Goshen, is a mountain. I don't think it's a mountain. So why does it say Vayal? He's going up to meet his father. He's going to have an aliyah. He's doing now the mitzvah called Kibud Horem, Kibud Av. And he's going to meet up Yisrael. The lofty name, the high name, Yisrael. Okay, what's happening? Vayera Elav. Excuse me? Who's the subject of the sentence? Yosef. Vayesor, tying up his chariot, is Yosef. Vayal, going up, is Yosef. The next verb, Vayera Elav, and he sees him. Who sees who?
Yosef, his father.
Yosef sees his father. What does Yosef do? Vayipola tzavarav. What does Yosef do? Vayefkal tzavarav od. Is that the end of the pasuk?
No.
Wow, you must have a different chumash than I have.
Yes, it's on the pasuk, is the pasuk, not the story.
Thank God we have the same chumash. I thought you have something built by the Christian society. No. Is that the end of the pasuk? Look at me. What's on your mind? Idan? Listen. It says, Yosef saddled up, went up, saw him, fell on his father's tzavar, and Yosef cried and cried and cried. What's missing here? Yaakov crying. I mean, I need some tissues. A son seeing his father for the first time in 22 years. It's very dramatic. Is that what happens? No. The next pasuk, we're told that Yisrael says to Yosef, Amuta hapam. Meaning, I thought I would die. I would die in this world, I would die in the next world, until I would see you. Now that you're living, I'm only going to die once physically. I'm so happy that I saw you spiritually. But why are we not told about the initial reaction in the same pasuk? Huh? The Midrashic interpretation at the end of Rashi is something fascinating, in my opinion. At the end of the Rashi, if you can find at the end of verse 29, where the word aval appears, but Yaakov lo nafal al tzavre Yosef. It was Yosef falling on the neck of his father and not the opposite. It was Yosef crying and not Yaakov. Velo nishek oto, he didn't kiss him. V'amru rabotenu, and our sages said, Shahaya korei et kriyat shma. What? Rashi's asking a question. What is the reaction of Abba? Answer, no reaction. What do you mean no reaction? Does he not have emotions? We learned that he has emotions. He's busy. What is he busy with? Uh-oh. Shema time is about to pass. I better read the Shema. He sees the sun coming for the first time in 22 years. Wait here a second. I got to read the Shema. What? Time is passing. I got to read the Shema. I'm adding the words. Rashi doesn't say that, but I'm adding that. Can you make a timeout? I'd like to interview Yosef. What about you? Your Abba's reading Shema. What about you? Why don't you also read the Shema? I like that question. You like that question? Is it a good question or not?
Maybe, I don't know.
It's an honest answer, Michael.
Yes, emotional. He was emotional.
He did Shachar. Very good.
He's thinking like maybe this is the best time for him to die.
To die.
Yeah, before he die, he can say Shema, right?
Aha. He thinks he's going to die.
I can imagine like Yisrael is very holy tzaddik, Nevi, but he lost it for 21 years. So Yosef came and the spunk flight and he was...
That's an interesting idea. That's an interesting idea. Gentlemen, remember when we study Midrash, some of you probably remember the idea of the four sides of Torah. You call it?
Pardes.
The word Pardes literally means a grove, like an orange grove, an apple grove. Orchard. An orchard. That's a better word. Thank you. Pei stands for Pshat, simple meaning. Reish stands for Remez. It's a hint. Daled is the drash, the midrashic interpretation. And the samich is so, the secrets of the Torah. Four basic sides of our scripture. The approach of many, like the Maral of Prague, is don't understand when you read the midrash that this in fact happened. No. It doesn't mean that you have to understand that this in fact happened. Can just lower the before my brains are going to be dried up. Thank you. Rather, the meaning is, Chazal give us an idea. Wow, you're a sharpshooter. We're going to take you into Gaza. The Gaza Strip. Thank you. There's an idea behind the Midrash. An idea behind the Midrash. We raise two questions. This is what Yaakov has to do right now and read the Shema. And if that's the case, why isn't Yosef reading the Shema? Well, we can give a halachic answer. the Maharal of Prague. There's a great work of the Maharal on Prague on Rashi called the Gur Aryeh, the Lion's Cub. Fantastic work, very deepening philosophical understanding, deepening our understanding. Well, Yosef right now wouldn't have to read the Shema. You hear this, Mr. Demakase? Yosef wouldn't have to read the Shema. Why not? What is he doing right now, Yosef? He's doing a mitzvah of kibud av, honoring his father. When someone is performing a mitzvah, what does our halacha teach us regarding vis-a-vis another mitzvah?
You are free.
Exempt. Beautiful. The Talmud says, and I'm quoting, ha'osek b'mitzvah, patur min mitzvah. Ha'osek, occupied. You're busy doing a mitzvah, you're exempt from doing another mitzvah. Okay? Yosef doesn't have to read the Shema according to this midrash. Why? He's doing the mitzvah. But what's the idea of the reading of the Shema? The Maharal says the following, gentlemen, and this is a very deep idea. Right now, and I'm adding my own words to this understanding, Yaakov sees his son for the first time in 22 years. Flashback, 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 flashback. He sees how all these 22 years, the compilation of all the events and episodes, the tragedy, the sorrow, the crying and the praying, the grief and the lack of happiness. He says all of that is from the hand of Hashem. He now sees and understands the oneness of God. How all the events are threaded, sewn together as one, the oneness of God. And now he can look back and see, like the Talmud says, Kol man de'avid rachmana de'tavavid. Everything that God did is for the good. Is for the good. He sees that. When he sees that, that is a deep understanding and acceptance of God's oneness, God's greatness, God's loftiness. That is equivalent to Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Maybe that's what the Midrash means. When he sees Yosef alive, maybe with similar royal clothing coming, I don't even know. Yeah, we're told that he has royal clothing, and maybe he sees the royal chariot, and he sees maybe the ring, the necklace that we learned about originally. Wow. Hashem is the manager of the world. Hashem is the superintendent taking care of all these events. Maybe that's the meaning. And the reaction is the oneness of God. He's not crying. He's not falling because he's right now intellectualizing and umafnim. How do we say lafnim? Thank you. He's internalizing right now in his intellect how everything is from the good of God. Okay? Gentlemen, let's go on, bivakasha. Pasuk Lamed Aleph, verse 31. Vayom Yosef el achav el beit aviv, e'eleh ve'agida lefaro. Ve'omra elav achai uveit avi asher be'eretz Canaan bo elai. And then he gives a plan. Whoever are the Roei Tzon, that if you're called up by Paro and asked, what is your job? Tell them, all our lives we've been Anshe Mikneh. Why? Pasuk Lamed Daled. I think this is proving that Yosef was not really sure that he's powerful enough to exercise, to grant an area, a town, for these 70 people to live there. And now, there is strategy behind this plan that maybe will convince Paro to go with this plan. All you have to do is tell Paro what? That you guys from Pasuk Lamed Daled, V'amartem anshe mikneh yuavadecha minu reinu v'adata, you guys from since you've been youth until now, you are taking care of livestock. Why? Bavur teshvu be'eretz Goshen, so that you'll be able to dwell there. Ki to'avat Mitzrayim. It's a to'eva, an abomination of Egyptian culture, called ro'ei tzon. So right now, we see, gentlemen, and there are some that bring to this point that Yosef went overboard. When he revealed himself to his brothers, go to Abba and tell him that I am an Adon. That was the language. Adon, I'll call Eretz Mitzrayim. We didn't analyze that when we learned it a day or two ago. Is he really the Adon of all Eretz Mitzrayim? Can he do anything he wants to do? Or is there someone above him? There's obviously someone above him. So there are those that mention that maybe Yosef took too much pride in his position and even exaggerated to bring the message to his father. Or some explain, maybe that's the only way to convince my Abba to come down to Mitzrayim, that I'm running the show here. Maybe he will not be confident enough that he'll be able to survive if Yosef is not powerful enough. So maybe when Yaakov hears that my son is the Adon, the master of all of Eretz Mitzrayim, I can, be less sensitive in my decision to go down to Mitzrayim because Yosef will take care of me. Here it seems that he's coaching his brothers. Tell the king that you guys are shepherds. He's not going to want to have brothers of Yosef shepherding around the capital hill of the monarchy of Paro. Ki to'avat Mitzrayim. So here we see that Aleph, this could very well be a plan that Yosef thought beforehand, and maybe he did fail in thinking that he can do so much. Right now, he has to convince the boss that Aleph, my brothers need a large area of land. For what? For pasturing. You don't have that in the city, in the capital hill. Number two, my brothers are ro'ei tzon. Are Egyptians allowed to visualize and look at shepherds? Mapitom. It's state law that they can't stand it. They abhor it. It's an abomination. Shepherding sheep inside Egyptian culture is a no-no. Okay? Because the taleh, the baby lamb, is the sign, the astrological sign of the idolatry of Egyptian culture. And therefore, every keves, every lamb in Egyptian culture is holy. It has to be given special treatment. And let's ask Hananel, he was once a shepherd, right? What is that stick you're holding on to, Mr. Roetzo, Mr. Shepherd? Why do you have a stick? What do you do with that stick once in a while? Tell the truth. Who do you hit? To guide the lambs. He hits the sheep. They know it's for the good. He hits them once in a while. But in Egyptian law, you're not allowed to touch the lamb. They're holy. They're holy.
It's like the cows in India.
Okay. And did you see him? Did you see him giving the cheapest food to his sheep? The word in Egypt, you can only feed the sheep with what? 4-star hotel conditions, like our friends in Sderot are eating in the hotel there. Now, most shepherds do not abide by these laws of holiness inside Egyptian culture. Therefore, the profession of being a shepherd over sheep is considered mitu'av. It's an abomination. It's a disgrace to do it. The hope of Yosef is what? That when Paro finds out, every brother that comes is going to fill out a form. My name, my Teudat Zut number, what is my profession? And everyone fills out a form and their profession is what? That they're shepherds. When the king finds out that all the brothers are shepherds, I'm going to have to find a place for them to live where? Far, far away. Far away from Egyptian culture, meaning a land like Eretz Goshen. Now we understand the strategy of Yosef. He may not have been sure, but he was hoping that this strategy will work. Gentlemen, on the other hand, it's a problem. What is the problem? If the king finds out that the profession of the brothers are all what? This cheap job, this cheap work of being shepherding, then he might say, wow, these guys are not going to make a lot of money here in Egypt. These 70 people, let me speak with my economic minister. Is there room in the national budget to support these 70 people? I don't know. These guys are not going to make money. They may be awarded imposition on Egyptian matters, especially during the years of famine. Therefore, it's not a simple situation here. Let's see what happens. Bivakasha, Perek Mem Zayin, chapter 47. Do you notice here also, is there or not a gap between this chapter and the next chapter?
No good.
No gap whatsoever. Okay? Nothing. Why? We're in the Galut. The Galut has happened. The Galut is parallel to Choshech, darkness. And that's represented in how the Torah is scribed. There's no gap, there's no light, there's no white parchment. Again, we're in the Galut. Pasuk chapter Mem Zayin. Okay? Vayavo Yosef vayaged leFaro. Vayomer. Avi, my dad. Ve'achai, and my brothers. V'tzonam uvkaram v'chol. They brought everything. Their sheep and cattle. They came from Eretz Canaan, Vinam, and now they're in Eretz Goshen. Umiktzeh achav. What does he do? What does he show? He brings 5 of his brothers. Now it says the word katzeh. Katzeh is a edge, end. Which brothers does he show them? There are 2 different opinions here. Rashi talks about he shows the 5 or 6 rather of the weaker sons. He wants to give Paro a negative impression that they're not giborim, they're not strong people ready for warfare. Vayatzigem, and he exhibits them before Paro. They stand up. They're not strong looking like some of you guys. They're like, weak guys like me. Vayomer Paro lechav, ma masechem, what's your job? And he tells them the story and why they've come down. Gentlemen, Paro makes a decision in verse 6. Eretz Mitzrayim lefanechahi. Here's my land. It's before you. B'meitav haaretz. He's very happy to give them the best of the land. Hoshevet avicha v'etachecha. And where is it? Yeshvu beretz Goshen. So the strategy of Yosef has worked. It's successful. And now Paro meets up with Yaakov Avinu. And what is the first thing he asks Yaakov when Yosef brings his father before him? Before anything happens, Yaakov gives a bracha to Paro. Is that proper?
Yaakov the blessed Paro.
You see it at the end of verse 7. Vayivarach Yaakov et Paro. Is that proper?
Is it king?
Rabbi Cook, in the late 1920s, when we're still under Turkish rule here in Israel, enacted, and it was in the big public announcements, recite on Shabbat a blessing for the, what is the Ottoman ruler called in Hebrew or English? Sultan, thank you. Recite a prayer in the synagogue for the Sultan. Why? we're under their rule. To a certain extent, we're under their grace and kindness. And from here, we learned historically back in many, many countries, Jews would even have the flag of their host country that they're living in next to the Israeli flag. Some wouldn't even have the Israeli flag. And on Shabbat, in many, many countries, in many, many different areas, on Shabbat, when the Sefer Torah is on the bima, and special prayers are made for the sick and for the state of Israel now in our time, they also make a blessing for the president of the U.S. and the vice president of the U.S. on Shabbat. We're living under their grace. Thank you very much. Okay? America has been the host, for instance, for millions and millions of Jewish people over the last century and a half, and so on and so forth. So now, Yaakov is by Paro, and he's under the grace of Paro. Paro is the ruler. It's basic decency to give him a blessing. Thank you. You're providing us land, a place to live. And then Paro asks, well, how old are you? Verse 9. Vayomer Yaakov el Paro, Yemei shnei megurai, shloshim u'me'at shana. 130 years. Psh, what kind of years have I had? I'll tell you. Me'at v'ra'im. Hayu yemei shnei chayai. Gentlemen, in Yaakov's eyes, the life he's had, has he been on easy street? Has he been just sitting and there's so much harmony in his life? No problems, no nothing. Esav wanted to murder him. Lavan cheated him for so many times and so many years. And then Lavan wanted to come running after him to grab him. And then the encounter with the angel of Esav. And then meeting up with Esav. And then the matters of his son, of Yosef. What a life. He's had a terrible, terrible, difficult time. Okay? And I've not been able to reach the life of who? V'lo isigu yemei shnei chayei avotai. Avraham Avinu lived to how much? 170 something. Yitzchak Avinu lived until also, to a ripe old age. Yaakov is not that. Again, he gives him a bracha in verse 9. Vayivarech Yaakov et Paro. Now he's leaving, he's departing. So if you're asking the question, why is he getting a double blessing? When he saw him for the first time, gives him a blessing. The conversation has ended. He's departing. It's proper to issue a blessing when you say goodbye to a minister and certainly a king. The blessing he gave him, Rashi says, in the name of Chazal, is that halavai, that it be that the river of the Nile rise and provide enough irrigation water for everyone so that they can have food in Israel. Okay? The truth is, Chazal say that from that blessing of Yaakov Avinu to Paro, from then and on, every time Paro reached the Nile River, the waters would come up towards him and even go inland to irrigate the plants and all the plantations of the people living there in Mitzrayim. Gentlemen, where are they living? Pasuk Yud Aleph, verse 11. Vayoshev Yosef et aviv et achav. Yosef is the minister of housing, the minister of land. He takes his father and his brothers and their families, will add, and he has them settle where? Vaytelem achuzah. They get a big parcel of land in the best area, in the land of Ramses. What is Ramses doing here? I thought they're going to be living in Goshen. Answer to the question, please.
Maybe it's within the area.
Goshen is the province, and the land of Ramses is a city, a town in the greater area of Goshen. That's what Rashi says. How do I know that? Look at Rashi verse 11, please. Ramses, 3 words, Rashi says. What are they? Me'eretz, Goshen, he, she. Who is she? The land. Eretz is feminine. How do I say a big land? Eretz? Feminine. Eretz? Gedolah. Many aratzot. It's feminine. So therefore Rashi says, Me'eretz Goshen he, she. Ramses is part of Eretz Goshen. Gentlemen, we need a budget. We need food. To feed 70 people, 69 people, we need food. What does Yosef do? Pasuk Yud Bet verse 12, as we're coming to the end of today's shiur. Vayichalkel Yosef et aviv ve'et echav ve'et kol beit aviv lechem lefi hataf. What message is the Torah telling us here as far as the budget for the family of Yaakov Avinu? They are 69 people. What kind of budget does Yosef provide for them? Lechem lefi hataf. Lechem is the general word for food. Lefi hataf, according to the number of children. So what message are we being told here? Huh?
More budget for the family.
Maybe. Lechem lefi hataf. Is it yes?
Not there, but in 1732, the same thing happens in Sweden when the Jews came from Germany. They get all the facilities to establish and buy land.
So there's a similarity to what Binyamin is saying. Paro granted the plan of Yosef to give them this city, the land of Goshen, Ramses and Goshen. But the next question is the budget. Is it an endless budget? Huh? Oh, exactly. They're being rationed. They're getting what everyone else is getting as far as food is concerned. Why is that?
To show,
What's the novelty here? In spite of the fact that Yaakov and his family have someone a VIP working where in the national government, it's not going to work to give them more food. They're rationed. They're equal like anyone else. Yosef does not show favoritism and provide more food for his family. They're getting just like everyone else is getting. What is it according to? The number of people that have to eat. So Yosef is showing morality, ethics, fair. Right? He's not under the table giving them more eshel and yogurt and fruits and vegetables. He's giving exactly what they're supposed to be getting like anyone else and not anymore. Please.
Did we learn that Goshen is the best land in Egypt?
It is, yeah. But right now in these 5 years, okay, so we're going to get to that. It could be that when they start planting, the per dunum yield might be greater than in other countries. And it's called Meitav Haaretz, the best of the land. Okay. What else did I want to see before the situation is very bad. In verse 13. V'lechem ein b'chol haaretz. We're now going back to the years of famine. Ki chaved harav me'od. 2 words, 2 superlatives about the famine. Number 1, kaved. Number 2, me'od. Wow. As the years beyond the first 2 years, the economic situation is getting more difficult. And who is collecting monies in verse 14?
Yes, sir.
From the people that are buying food. Okay? And of course, the monies go to the national treasury. Vayavei Yosef et hakesef beit paro. But you know what? After a year of buying, people are looking into their pockets, but they only have keys and not money. How will they buy food? How will they buy food?
The land.
Before the land, there are assets that can be valued in money, in verse 16. And that is livestock. Okay? Monies, no more. The animals, okay. They use their animals. They liquidate their animals into money to buy food. Who is getting all these animals?
Paro.
Paro, right? And then when that year ends, there's no more money and there's no more livestock. How will people buy food? They're going to die. And then, as we go on and on, gentlemen, Yosef buys land. In other words, what we're setting up is more or less, I think, maybe different with what I'm saying, communist rule. The land is owned by
The government.
the government. Is that not communism? People are depleted of their monies. They're depleted of their livestock. And now they gave up their land to get food. In other words, who owns all the property?
Government.
Wow. Yosef is managing all this. For this and more,
Worship.
in our next shiur.
Mm-hmm.
Is that good or not? I'm telling you.